Welcome back to this video tutorial. We can discuss about the call by reference method of function implementation here. In our previous videos, we have already discussed about the call by value method of function implementation. Now we can consider the second method of function implementation here. So these are the principles of call by reference method of function implementation. The call by reference method of passing arguments to a function copies the address of an argument into the formal parameter. Keep this in your mind. Copies the address of argument into the formal parameter. In call by value method, the actual parameters as such copied into the formal parameter. But here in this call by reference method, the address of the argument is copied into formal parameter. Not the actual value itself copied, but instead here copies the address of argument into the formal parameter. Inside the function definition, the address is used to access the actual argument used in the function call. Okay, so inside the function definition, use the address of our actual argument. The changes made to the parameters directly affect the passed argument. Okay, here we need to pass the address of our actual arguments directly to the function definition, so that any changes made to the parameter directly get reflected on the actual argument itself. Okay, to pass a value by reference, the argument pointers are passed to the function just like any other value. Here we need to pass the address, right? So for passing the argument, we need to use pointers. The pointers are the variable that actually pointing to the address of another variable. So using these pointers, we can pass the address of actual parameters to the function. Okay. So you need to declare the function parameters as pointer types here. Okay, so consider one program example. It will explain, or it will help you to understand the concept properly. Okay, so this is one program using this call by reference method, and this program is for swapping two elements. Right, here we have one function, swap function, with return type is void here. So here we have two integer arguments, and these arguments are defined as pointer type arguments, because here we are going to pass the address of our actual arguments, right? So here we need to declare two integer pointers, right? So here inside this function, or inside this main, we have two variables a and b initialized with value 100 and 200 respectively. Okay, suppose for our explanation we can consider the address values like this 1000, 1004, 1008, etc. Right? This is used simply for the explanation purpose. Okay, suppose this a is pointing to this particular location. Here we can initialize the value 100 now. And b is pointing to this particular location, and we can initialize 200 here. Okay, so this is the function definition part, right? In the definition part, we use two integer pointers like int x, int star x and star y. This asterisk symbols indicates that these two are pointer type variables. Here also this asterisk symbol indicates that these are not a common variable, these are pointer type variables. So using this x and y type pointer variables, we can load, or we can point the address of our actual variables. So here it is the function calling function, swap of a, b. Instead of calling the variables, here we need to pass the address of our actual values. Actual values are available in these variables a and b. So we need to pass the address of these variables from where we get the actual values, because This is the function implementation method using call by reference. In call by reference method, while calling a function, we need to pass the address of our actual values. So we need to pass ampersand A, ampersand B. This indicate address of variable A, address of variable B. So while calling this, what happened? We need to transfer control from this location to the function body. That is control now available here. Now we need to transfer what? We need to copy the address into this X and we need to copy the address of this B into Y. Okay, so A is initialized with value 100 and is pointing to this address location. B is pointing to this address location and the value is 200 now. Okay, while calling this, what happened? This X value, X is a pointer and Y is again a pointer. X is pointing to this location and now we can initialize this X with the address of A. That is, this X is now initialized with the address of A, because here it passed the address values of actual variables. So X is initialized with address of A, Y is initialized with address of B respectively. B with 1004. Okay, so Y is initialized with address of B, X is initialized with address of A. Okay, after that we need to declare one local variable here, temp. Suppose temp is pointing to this particular location, right? And temp is initialized with star X. What is the meaning of this star X? X is a pointer type variable and X is pointing to this particular address location 1008, where the value of another or address of another variable is available. That is 1000. An address information is available here in this particular address location, which is pointed by this X. Okay, this star X means the value present at this particular location. So 1000 is the address of this variable A. Here we have the value 100. So star X actually indicate value 100. So temp is initialized with value 100 now. Right? Next is star X equal to star Y. That means X pointing to this address location. So star X means the value at this address location. Okay. So now we can rewrite the value at this address location. That is, this 100 is replaced with the value at address location represented by Y. Y is pointing to this address location where we get the address of another variable. That is this 1004. Right? This star Y indicate the value at this particular location. That is 200. Okay, now we can initialize that value or we can replace the value of this location by value of this location. Okay, so now this 100 is removed and replaced with value of Y. After that, this value star Y means what? Value at this location. This location is replaced with value available in this temp variable. Right? So this 200 is removed and replaced with value of this temporary variable. Okay, so this is the case after executing this function body. That means the actual variable location get replaced after the execution. Right? The actual variable location directly affected after executing this function body. Okay, so before this performing this swap function or before calling this swap function, this A and B display the value 100 and 200 respectively. After calling this swap function, transfer control here and perform all these steps one after another, so that A now having value 200 and B is containing value 100. So after calling this swap, while displaying this value of A and B, it will display like 200 and 100 respectively. Okay, so this is a simple example for understanding call by reference method of function implementation. So for call by reference method, we need pointer type variable in order to pass the argument of our actual variables. Like for calling this function, we need to pass the address of our actual variables. So this address are copied into this pointer type formal parameters, and using this address information we can directly change the value of our actual variables. Okay, so this is the case of this is the case of our function implementation using call by reference. Okay, now we can compare the other method also. Okay, this is the case of function implementation using call by value method. Here we have this function function declaration. So a function with return type equal to void, and here we need two integer argument, but they are not pointer type argument. Why? Because here we are using this function implementation based on the principle of call by value method. Okay, so that while calling this function, we can transfer this actual values, or we can copy this actual value to the formal parameters. This is the principle of call by value method of function implementation. While calling this, what happened? Control transfer here, and this a value is copied into x, b value is copied into y. Suppose a pointing to this address location having value 100, b pointing to this particular location having value 200, right? So while calling this, what happened? The first step is copying the actual value to formal parameter. So x is initialized with value 100, y is now initialized with value 200. So using these copied values, now we can execute the function body. We don't want to consider this actual values present here. We can access and execute the function body using this copied value available in our formal parameters x and y here. Okay, so while executing this, first of all we need add local variable temp. Suppose temp is pointing here and temp is initialized with a value of x, that is 100, right? After that we can change the value of x with the value of y, and this y value is changed with the temporary value, that is 100. Okay, after that we can display the value of x and y here. It will display in the reverse order, that is before swapping, before calling this swap function, it will display in the order 100 then 200. Here after this swapping, it display in the order 200 100. These values are taken from this formal parameter. Okay, so this is the case of call by value method. In this, while calling, these values are copied here. Okay, and using this copied values available here in this formal parameter, this function body is executed. Okay, in our previous in this previous case of call by reference method of function implementation, what happened? Here, while calling this function, the address of our actual values are directly copied into this formal parameter. These formal parameters are actually pointer type variables. Here we can copy the address of our actual values. So after executing this function body, the changes will directly affect or reflected in the actual values or actual variables itself. So these are the two different methods of our function implementation. Okay, thank you.